66 days of hand reading. This is day 37 of 66 days in a row. Super fun stuff, and I really do feel that my game is actually totally improving because of all of this all this hand reading stuff. You know, every single day when I play poker, or every single session that I play, I'm thinking about my opponent's pre-flop ranges a little bit more, going through the streets, kind of putting them on different hands as the flop, the turn, the river hits. I'm able to bluff a little bit more effectively. I feel that I'm also able to get a little bit more value out of my opponents, and I'm just making better decisions overall. So if you aren't on your own little hand reading journey right now, doing this on your own from your own database, I highly recommend it. If you're just watching me, you're really only getting half of the benefit. Actually, I shouldn't even say half. You're probably only getting like 20% of the benefit. I think most of any hand reading benefit comes from practicing it off the felt and trying to apply what you're learning on the felt. So that's probably where you're getting like 80-90% of your hand reading improvements come from actually doing it. So what do we got here? On the screen, you can see that we have day 36, we took a look at a Goats McTokes hand. Let's take a look at another player that we have a lot of hands on. I don't think we've looked at any of New Wave's hands here, so let's find him in our database. I don't know if I've looked him up before. I don't see it. There he is. Good, so we've pulled him up now. Let's take a look at showdown hands. So you could see on New Wave, we have 2,200 hands on the guy. Hand details, showdown time. And last time with Goats McTokes, we looked at a hand that was from the cutoff. So this time, let's actually take a look, and we will go to, what are we going to go to here? Let's start with an early position range. Whoops. Early position range. Raise, bet the whole way. Raise, bet. That's really it in terms of lots of action. We just see a ton of betting. And a raise pre-flop, which is good. So he's the guy who opened the pot. Let's see, out of the MP, different kinds of actions. Ooh, raise, bet, and then calling a raise, checking the turn, and then betting the river. This one seems like a little bit more interesting to me than that other hand. What's the date of this one? 6/25. Um, 878-13-911. Cool. So let's see what happens here. He is under the gun, which I'm actually going to classify it as MP, you know, button, cutoff, MP. We're missing a player, so not technically under the gun. It's an MP position. MP open. Alrighty, perfect. Wacky one. Oh, darn, I fold. What did I fold? Just to see what I folded. 35. I don't blame myself for folding that. So Kenny Powers looks like is going to be our villain in this hand, and just call. So first off, New Wave. Let's take a look at his range. Raising first in an MP. 22%. Even if it was in the EP, it's 21%. This guy raises basically the same from the first two positions in 6 max games. So 20 and 22%. Let's whip this out here. 2-bet ranges. We'll just start with 20%. I'm pretty sure, I would imagine this guy in the MP raises every ace. I mean, we can see overall his aggression is pretty high. He's a 25-22, very loose aggressive player. 3-bets at 13%. Most of his 3-bets come from the small blind, big blind, MP, cutoff, and button. Wow, he likes to use his position, and he likes to use the strength of early position 3-bets to blow opponents off hands. 13% right here. He's probably what... he's definitely a reg. I have a ton of hands on the guy, over 2,000 hands. But he is what Black Rain 79, Nathan Williams, he is what I think he would either classify him as a good reg, a good loose aggressive reg, or possibly a recreational maniac. I have a ton of hands on the guy, so I'm more inclined to classify him as a good reg, lag, loose aggressive player is my classification for him here. So... I'll just call him a good lag, is what he is. I'm reading Black Rain 79's new book right now, and I really like his player classifications. So he's raising a pretty wide range. Maybe not 10-8, maybe not down as far as 6-5. Jack 10 offsuit, I'm going to give him. Ace 10, this is 20% right here. We could probably, let's give him every Broadway. Let's just do it. Let's stick with this range. All the Broadways, some suited connectors, one suited gapper. Is he raising 10-8? He's raising 10-8. 9-7, yeah. These right around here is the cutoff, so I'm going to go ahead and call the cutoff 10-8 suited. King 9 suited, I can see him raising because he is such an aggressive player. One player missing out of the hand, so he could be treating it just as a straight-up steal and just wanting to take down the pot. He folds the steals 83, folds 78%, so he might be counting on them folding a bit. So maybe he's got a decently wide opening range. I'm going to give him this range. 22. What keeps happening there? Uh-oh. Dag nabbit. Lost it. That was it, right? Yeah, that was it. 22.5%. MP opens, BB calls. What kind of player is the big blind, by the way? 28-10, so a loose passive player. LP big blind calls. Now, we could see overall, this player's wrong button, or wrong pop-up. His, dagnabbit, 3-bet. There we go. The 3-bet pop-up tells us his call 2-bet percentage. Out of the big blind, the guy calls 43%. He's a super wide caller. I'm going to put him kind of at the far end, the lower end of his calling range. Jack 9 offsuit, let's give him. It could be pocket pairs, could be every Broadway, could be suited aces, offsuit aces, whatever. I'm just going to give him a really crummy hand, a Jack 9 offsuit here. So currently, if our hero is at 22%, villains at Jack 9 offsuit. Oh wait, that changes 298 combos. Okay, gotta remember that. So at 298 combos versus Jack 9 offsuit, we are way ahead with the 63% equity. 298 combos right here. Loose passive big blind calls with a super wide Ranger Rooney. All right, so let's see what happens. Wow, look at that. Ace, Queen, Jack, Spade, Spade, Club. On that flop right there. Oh, well, I have to give him a different Jack. No big deal. So on this flop right here, the hero, we're looking at 59% equity. Lovely flop. We have tons of aces in our range, tons of Broadways. We hit straights, we hit two pairs, we hit gut shots, we hit pair plus draws, top pair hands, second pair hands. I mean, we hit this flop pretty darn hard. Our range does, at least. And our opponent, sure, pair plus backdoor second nut flush draw, I guess is basic, and pair plus, backdoor straight. So he does not have much at all, if that's his hand. Let's see here. He checks. We throw out the dollar, which is a little over half pot, not too shabby. And then we get a 3x raise, and we just call. So two questions here. Question number one, what is New Wave c-betting and then just calling with? And then question number two, is this short stack kind of affecting our call? Because if we decide to raise here and just get it all in with this short stack, maybe he's folding out a lot of his bluffing range here, right? But if we just call, we show passivity, we show that we're scared, maybe he could put us on like an under pair, like pocket tens, or even like a crappy queen, like king queen or something that we don't want to commit a lot of money to. By just calling it could show some weakness, and on the turn, whatever the turn is, look, it's $9 in his stack, $8 in the pot, roughly stack to pot ratio of 1, a tiny bit over 1.2 or something. It's really easy for him to just shove on the turn, and then we just call with our strong range, So that's just a question. I'm wondering if that short stack is getting him to just call to give him a false sense of security. So what is he betting and then just raising without going all in? Straights, totally slow playing those on the flop, or betting for value, then slow playing them. Yes. Sets, absolutely. There's not a ton that he should be scared of. I guarantee if he has a set and he had just shoved, he's calling no matter what. There's still 2 more cards, possible full house to hit or quads. So he's not scared right now. It's not like he has to bet big and then bet and then 3-bet in order to push him off of a straight or something if he has just a set, you know. So I think sets can be slow playing here. 2 pair. Ace queens, ace jacks, and the queen jack, the bottom 2. I think those can just bet call as well. Just to slow play their opponent, short stacked opponent. Hope he gets it in on the turn, you know. Instead of raising now and showing him that, hey, we love the flop, he'll fold a ton of his range right here, even though he's pretty passive. Oh, look at that. He's folding 86% of the time to c-bets. So if he folds 86% to c-bets, he has to like his hand. So he doesn't have a hand like Jack 9. He could have a set of jacks himself. He could have Queen Jack 2 pair, Ace Jack, Ace Queen 2 pair himself. This guy probably likes his hand. New Wave, for the fact that he folds often, this guy's going with his hand no matter what. I think New Wave would actually probably, well, he is in position. Yeah, he can slow play these nut hands for sure. Can he be betting and then just calling with these weak top pair hands? Against such a short stack, he might make that call. This is our read on the opponent. For all we know, New Wave doesn't know squat about Kenny Powers, and he's an unknown to him, for all we know, you know. So I would say he could slow play the top pairs. Pocket pair below top. Well, it's pocket kings. If your opponent doesn't have an ace, you've got the second nut paired hand plus the gut shot draw. I think those can be calling the $3, and then assessing the turn is what he would do. Let's see here. Mid pairs. All those mid pairs. They're all pair plus a gutter. Yeah, those can all be making the call. Weak pairs now. Those are all the random jacks and all the under pairs. Jack 10. I mean, we might keep them in on gut shots and stuff. So let's take the middle pairs out. On this board with a guy who's so flop honest versus c-bets, I don't think he's calling with the mid pairs unless he has some kind of a backup equity with a draw here. Weak pairs folding, no made hand. Now flush draws, totally bet calling. Open enders, 10-9. Well, they're the nut open enders, right? Because it's just a 10. King hits, you have the nut Broadway straight. So, yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't call right here. The gut shots. Lots of gut shots. He's in position. He gets to assess the turn. If his draw doesn't come in on the turn and he shoves, he can just fold for only $2 more to try to win that $7.60 pot. So, oh, right here. Now you said it. Ask a question. Would you slow play Sky? No, I wouldn't. He likes his hand and is flop honest, so he's going all in no matter what. So I wouldn't slow play, but who knows if he can. I think it's possible, so let's put it in his range. You know, we've got to filter and keep those ones in right there. I'm not slow playing though, but those gut shots could be calling as well. 2-card back. I don't think any 2-card backdoor flush draws. Well, we keep some top pairs in, so those are already in. I'm not going to consider those in. Yeah, that's good. So we can see what he's calling with right here. All of his nutted hands and some of his decent value hands. Plenty of good draws, too, that can assess on the turn and decide whether or not to fold. But nope, I am not slow playing. 75, 158. 158. So we've taken him down from 400 combos down to 158. That's pretty good. What's that? 3/8. Oh, nice. 37%. So, yeah, not 30. Yeah, 25%. We've removed 25% of his range. Lovely. So what happens? Deuce of spades comes. Look at that. So on that deuce of spades, what happens here? Our equity from our flop range, our equity goes to 69%. Things are good because we had plenty of flush draws in our range that just now hit, which is great. Well, and that's just a jack 9, but he didn't raise a jack 9. I would probably put him on a 2-pair kind of hand, ace jack, ace queen, our opponent here. But what happens? He checks, and he just checks behind. Wow. See, he shows that he really liked his hand on the flop with the check raise. But maybe New Wave is scared of the flush. The flush card came in. He knows, and I know, that players can check raise on the flush draws. He could have had random king 5 suited and just now hit, so the nut flush draw and then hit. I'm going to say on that card right there, he chose not to bet. He's scared of the flush. So I'm going to take the flushes out of his range. Now, straights are possible, and just checking behind to control the pot on the 3 flush board. But I think flushes really, I mean, look at all those flushes. He's going to be betting here at least, what, $2 or $3 just to get some value out of the guy. I really think so. With all of his flushes. Yeah. So I'm going to take them out of his range. Nope, no flushes for him. I could totally be wrong there, but I think most people would bet for value as soon as they hit that flush. Because he could have been raising on the flop with 2 pair. Now you just totally outdrew him on the turn. He still has his 2 pair hand. He's going to call to try to catch a full house to beat your flush. You've got to be betting it there. I don't see a good reason to check the flush. So straights are straights checking behind. Flopped king 10. It's tough to say. They could check for pot control. It's possible. I don't know exactly what's going through his head. I think flushes are betting no matter what for value on that turn, especially those weaker flushes. He could just have the random king of spades, king of spades, I don't know, 9 of clubs or whatever. King 9 could have been in his range to call. So, I mean, I think he's betting with the straights. Let's remove those from his range. Sets. Actually, no. Gosh darn it. I was trying to think. I mean, can he play it passively? cbet 71%. What does he cbet on the turn? In position cbet 72.64. So he's not that much more honest. If he's betting on the flop, yeah, he's scared. Maybe he'll want to see showdown with these non-nut hands and just pot control. Okay, let's give him pot controlling. Straight, sets, 2 pair, top pair, pot controlling. Pocket pair below. Especially if one of them's a king of spades, could just be checking behind, hoping to hit the 4th flush card on the river, or even even river his straight and win it that way. Quite possible. Middle pairs. Yeah, it's a pair plus a draw, but you don't have a great hand on a 3 flush board. Those are checking behind. Weak pairs that are still in, checking behind. No made hand, checking behind. Nut flush. Oh, nut flush draw. It's interesting. Are those actually going to check behind with all those random kings of spades? It's possible he's checking behind. I don't like it. I'm often going to be betting there. Especially, look at those. They all have nut flush draw, so pair plus the nut flush draw, all of them. So I'm going to take those out of his range. He's got to be betting pair plus a nut flush draw. Gotta. Second, he doesn't even have any. Third nut flush. Yeah, he could be checking those. He has a little bit of showdown value with a pair of 10s, pair of jacks, pair of queens, pair of aces, but it is only the 10 of spades, which he's beat by a king of spades or a jack of spades. Yeah, I think those are possibly in his call behind, check behind range. No flush draw open-endeds? Yeah, those can check behind. Gut shots? Yeah, totally check behind. Cool. Well, actually, we didn't. We basically just removed his flushes from his range. Weak pairs, no mate. Yeah, we've got to keep those in just because he doesn't have a hand yet. Yeah, we really didn't remove much at all from his range. 151 combos, 96% of his pre-flop range. Or his flop range. Yeah, so that's one of the things when you or your opponents are just checking behind, it often takes away the strongest parts of your range, but leaves all the weak stuff that could possibly be staying in. Yep. All right, queen of clubs. Ooh, paired board, 3 flush board. That's pretty sweet. So on that board, on that river right there, we have 83% equity if he does just have the bottom pair of jacks. So let's see what happens. He's checking. So that tells me that really it was kind of a, possibly at the time, a value check raise on the flop. He has ace jack, ace queen. Nope, ace queen has a full house. Nope, he has ace jack or king queen, ace jack or king queen. Now let's see what happens. Whoa, just shoving it all in, getting a call. So what is our hero shoving in with? Quads shoving, full house is shoving, flushes, straights are shoving, three of a kind. Let's think about that. Three of a kind. So you suddenly just rivered that queen. You had the gut shot, had a pair plus a gutter the whole way with the queen 10, the king queen, pair plus a gutter. Finally hit it, and you're just shoving to get max value, hoping your opponent just has a random ace. Yeah, so I can see the three of the kind shoving here. Top pairs. Whoops, top pair. All those random weak aces. I don't see them shoving. I see them betting small for value, right? Trying to get called by a random jack? Because, I mean, if you bet your top pair, actually a lot of those top pairs could be checking behind. Because your opponent, what's your opponent calling with? If you have ace 8, for example, your opponent, I guess you could call with all those weaker aces, ace 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that you currently beat with the ace 8. Yeah, so let's put those top pairs in his shoving range. It's only 882, though. He doesn't want to bet, and then he shoves and then have to fold an ace, so he's just committing. Let's say he's committing with all his top pair hands as well. Yep, so that's what I'm going to say. That's his range, 72.8%, 99 combos. Let's see what he had. Pocket aces. Wow. 6-3. Whoops. Yep, so pocket aces was still in his range. The flop top set, we kept that in the whole way. And 6-3 for the... Oh, wow, he rivered. He got lucky on the river, so his opponent did hit that flush. So... that's probably not a bad play at all. Checking behind on the turn right there. Your opponent, wow, 6-3 suited. Whoops, spades. Wow. Okay, well, we know that he can't defend super wide double gappers there. That's pretty good to know. Actually, let's make that note. And if he can defend 6-3 suited, he can go all those better suited double gappers as well. So I really do like I like the flop play, obviously, betting and then just calling to just slow play and get full value from this guy. He slowed down, though, on the turn, or he continued his passivity on the turn when the 3 flush came in, which makes sense. You want to pot control. Hopefully you get quads or a full house, and then you can get it in versus the turned flush. So everything worked out for him. He ended up rivering, had the best hand pre-flop, best hand on the flop, got turned, but then he rivered Kenny Powers back. So that was a pretty good hand. Wow, that is so interesting. He's capable of defending that wide. I've got to keep that in mind, which is good. Every time I play Kenny Powers, I got to make sure that I'm raising, when he's in the big blind, I've got to be raising a very wide range, because if he's willing to call with 6-3 suited, I just want to play as many hands as I can with this guy to get max value out of him for sure. And the new wave, that was a very well played hand. I like the pot control on the turn and the flop. Well, flop wasn't pot control. The flop was lulling Kenny Powers into a false sense of security. The turn was pot control, which I like that. And of course, the river is great. Oftentimes when somebody shoves, it feels bluffy. It feels like I'm just putting max pressure to get him to fold. And that's probably what Kenny Powers thought. So he check called because it was a shove. I bet on that paired board, I bet if New Wave would have bet, what was it at the time? $8? Okay, $8 in the pot. I bet if he would have bet, instead of that 21, if he bet $4. Actually, no, Kenny Powers is so passive, he's calling with anything, right? He's calling with his 6-high flush. It might have just helped things. He might have given it a second thought if he had bet like $6 or $5. He might have thought, wow, he's going for value here. But making that bet looks like a bluff, and he was able to get that full stack. I bet if he bet $9, it's possible Kenny Powers would have called. Who knows? I mean, folded. It's possible, but the shove looked bluffy, so he called, and New Wave got max value. I love that hand. Good stuff, New Wave. Good play. Alrighty, y'all. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate your time today. Come on back tomorrow for day 38. Peace out. Oh, let me see. Now you said it said a note. He got lucky without charging him enough to hit the flush. Yeah, you're right about that. Let's take a look at the math. So, $1 right there. So, well, just $1. Kenny Powers needed 28% equity to call. He only has 9 outs, which is actually 18%. So he did actually charge him enough. He charged him enough to make drawing to just a 6-high flush unprofitable. So he did. New Wave charged him enough for that. So I think that was just a fine bet right there, getting extra value out of Kenny Powers, who was short stacked. And then just calling right there, just slow played it and lulled Kenny Powers into a false sense of security. Yep. Alrighty. Cool beans. Well, thank you all very much for joining, and I'll catch you tomorrow, day 38.